Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand. Jessop's Journal is a collection of powerful, positive, and inspirational stories. It's time for Jessop's Journal.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to Jessop's Journal. In this episode, we visit with powerful, positive, and inspirational folks, including a woman that not only has a powerful story, she also has a powerful voice. So yeah, of course, she's going to be our musical guest.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapons, formed against, yes, glory is destined. Every day, women and men become legends. The sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all, just ain't specific enough.
Some people can look at a situation and see different outcomes in things that might be a little different than you or me. It's called neurodiversity. Mark Mozzie is providing a great service for families dealing with autism.
We saw parents who felt like they were failing with children on the spectrum. And it was heartbreaking because honestly, as a group, you probably won't find parents that try harder. And yet there was something missing, and we determined that that thing might just be a lack of information.
While we're on the subject, we visit with an inspirational woman that tells us that her autism is her superpower.
It's always art stuff, anything to do with art, ever since I was able to hold the crayon.
But first, Mac. Mac, it is time to sign in to the journal.
Perfect.
In this episode of Jessop's Journal, you sometimes meet somebody that just all they have is one name. It's all they need. Well, today, it's Mac, okay? So, Mac, thanks for coming on Jessop's Journal.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we met at the NAACP award, well, the NAACP MLK, talk about initials, right?
Right.
Jeez. And you were amazing.
Thank you.
If you had to choose, okay? Do you prefer to live at the beach or the mountains?
I would choose the mountains.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
So, talking about mountains, I know that you happen to have a song that you really like that relates to the mountains.
Oh, I do.
Which
I
is?
do. Ain't no mountain high enough.
Can you sing me just a couple bars?
Oh, putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I told you I was going to put you on the spot.
'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Okay, now, since we're on a roll, I'm going to tease you about this, okay? So even though you like spring, you did sing Summertime.
I did, yes.
Okay, so
you want to hear a little of that?
I'd love to.
Absolutely.
Lay it on me.
Okay. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the catching is high. Oh, your daddy's rich, and your mind's good looking.
How did you get into this music thing?
Honestly, I feel like it's part of my DNA. It's
Okay.
just been embedded in me ever since I was a young kid. As a child, I was the kid with a lot of energy. Parents didn't necessarily know what to do with me, so let's put her in singing, let's put her in dancing.
Yeah.
So I've been a performer since a young age. Probably 5 is when I started getting into it, honestly. And then I've continued on, and I don't dance as much now. I still love to dance.
Okay.
I don't dance as much now, but I do still sing. And growing up living my life, living my experiences, I've been able to find a connection with music on a deeper level.
Okay.
And it helps me get through bad times, and I want to help people through their bad times, through their good times, through whatever. And I feel like music is a great way to do that.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Now, you mentioned DNA. Okay. Again, putting you on the spot here. I met your mother
Yes.
at this event, and she was just like, I mean, she had a grin
Isn't
like
she
ear to
wonderful?
ear.
She's
You know, she was just
wonderful.
like, oh, that's my girl. I'm so
I love
proud.
my mama.
But you know, I've noticed, and you told me a little bit about this, you know, so you're adopted.
Yes, I am adopted.
What was that like growing up?
Honestly, when I was younger, it didn't really, I guess I could phrase it as I didn't really understand what it meant
Okay.
to be adopted, because I had my family, I had my friends. That was just my life.
Right.
In the 3rd grade, so like 7, 8 years old, is when I started to experience bullying
Really?
based off of my race, but I didn't really understand that
Okay.
at the time. So that's when I first kind of got a little taste
Okay.
for being different. But then when I was 11, my 5th grade best friend, she told me, she was like, just so you know, my mother is racist.
Well,
And she's like,
did
"Do
you
you-"
know what that meant at the time?
Well, she was like, do you know what that means?
Yeah.
And I was like, not really. I was like, from what I know, it just means she doesn't like people who aren't like her.
Okay.
And she's like, yes, basically that's it. And she's like, so if we're going to be friends, it might be hard with you coming over. You might not be allowed inside my house, that type of stuff.
Oh, jeez.
For her birthday,
Yeah.
I've been trying to remember all of these little things, but I don't remember where my parents were, but they weren't able to drive me to the party, so I had to walk to her house. I got to her house 15 minutes early. Her mom cracked the door open and told me I was too early and that I needed to walk to the school, because that's 15 minutes away,
Okay.
and then by the time I got back, the party will have started. I thought that was weird. I was like, why can't I just come inside and hang out till the party starts? So I walked to the school, and as I'm walking, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm different from her. She's not comfortable with it. She doesn't like it. I remember sitting down on the swings of the school. I got to the school, and I was like, I don't know if I even want to go back. I sat on the swings, and I felt sad for myself. I felt sad for her. I felt sad for my friend. And I just could not understand the reason why I wasn't likable, for lack of a better term, in her eyes. And about 5 minutes later, my friend pulls up her dad in their truck, and I just started to bawl. I started to cry. That was the moment when I realized I am different. And I was thinking about the kids in my class. Of the people in my school, there was only a select people of color, a huge minority. And it was just like, I am different. And I remember questioning if that made me a bad person because I'm different. You know, does that mean there's something wrong with me? Just all of these things. So I remember breaking down and just crying. I cannot tell you if I went to the party. I don't remember anything after breaking down and crying and whatnot, but that was a dramatic, traumatic, eye-opening experience in the 5th grade, 11, 12 years old, realizing that you are so different from everybody else. And I tried to constantly keep that in mind, but continue to grow.
So flipping the side, is there stuff that you've experienced here as a woman of color that does give you hope?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Like?
Oh, well, this, for one,
Well,
honestly.
really?
you know.
I'm glad to help.
Thank you. And it's appreciated.
Mac, the
Yes.
woman with one name
That's me.
and one strong, beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
How do you want to leave your mark?
I want to leave my mark in music.
Yeah.
In music, like I said, music helps me. And so if I can sing a song or write a song that helps somebody, I will call that a wonderful win. Even if it's only one person.
Yeah. Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
One of my favorite inspirational quotes is from Audrey Hepburn. She said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." Everyone has a story, and sometimes those stories are told through music. It's time for Jessop's Jukebox. Glory. This song was originally performed by John Legend and Common in the movie Selma. It got the 2015 Oscar for Best Musical Score. Ladies and gentlemen, Mac and the Messenger.
One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be here sure. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapons formed against. Yes, glory is destined. Every day, women and men become legends. The sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all, just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. Truant living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on a bus. That's why we walked through Ferguson with our hands up. When it goes down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots, we on the ground. The cameras panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. Now the war is not over, and victory isn't won, and we'll fight on till the finish. Then when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh, glory, oh, glory. Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They marched with the torch. We're gonna run with it now. Never look back. We done gone hundreds of miles from dark roads. He rose to become a hero. Facing the leagues of justice, his power was his people. Enemy is lethal. A king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald eagle. Our biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing. Our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in the dream, we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders, the young people's energies. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory. One day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be here sure. Oh, glory.
Yeah, I'm the TV hat guy. All my hats have names. This one is called the Whiskey. It could be because of booze, but that's not the real story. It's actually because it's the color of the hat. Knowledge is power. Our next guest provides information for families dealing with autism. His message, you're not alone. With me today, Mark Mazzi. I understand that you have a degree in counseling.
So I wasn't planning on going to college. My father-in-law came over one day right after my wife and I were newly married. And to his credit, he was very gentle, very appropriate. He didn't want to overstep his bounds, but he said, "What are you doing with your life?" And we had a conversation about going to school. Now, I barely graduated high school. I have dyslexia, I was in special ed. I'm sure none of my teachers would have predicted that I would have gone on. And anyway, I could see the wisdom in what he suggested. And with that, my wife and I were prayerful, and we decided to embrace education. And I loved it. I learned how to learn. I had to teach myself how to learn. Eventually I got a master's degree from Gonzaga in Spokane.
Wow.
In counseling psychology, and then was admitted to BYU. That's what brought us to Utah for a master's equivalency in marriage and family therapy, and then a PhD in marriage and family therapy, which is also systems theory. And that enabled me to do counseling for individuals and families for 15 years.
Wow. Okay, now I'm going to kind of dial back a little bit. Dyslexia. For those that don't know what it is there a way to kind of wrap it up into a little bow as to describe what the heck dyslexia is?
Well, thanks to my friend Sydney Gardner, I now understand it a little better, and it wasn't until I was over 40. It's actually 3D thinking. It's the mind's ability to move things around. It gives me a tremendous creative ability in mechanical things. I've designed and invented a few things because of this. So I didn't know it was a gift. But when I was a kid, with the backdrop of my emotional noise and then my learning challenges, I thought I was dumb. So in a nutshell, what's dyslexia? Well, your mind moves stuff around sometimes. You know, you'll change letters and numbers in their order. And as a result, reading wasn't the best way for me to learn, so I had to get to know my professors. I had to learn who they were and have them know who I was, and if they had office hours, I was there. And I was talking to them and hearing their stories and their wisdom. And I graduated from Gonzaga with very good grades.
Translation, you're a really good listener.
Evidently.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I have kind of a pet project that I deal with, and that's with people on the autism spectrum. And for people that don't know, autism has been kind of described in that same way, where they see things in a slightly different way, and with hyper focus. And I have family members that I know and love that have autism. You've actually worked on some autism projects. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, you know, as a counselor, absolutely loved what I did. And there is this reality that you can only influence one person an hour, so to speak. And that's very valuable time, and I don't mean to diminish that in any way. I did have a vision for doing something that would enable a reach to a larger group, to influence more lives. A friend of mine and I got together, and we ended up talking one night till about 2:30 in the morning, and this idea was kind of born to address this problem. And the problem was this: we saw parents who felt like they were failing with children on the spectrum. And it was heartbreaking because honestly, as a group, you probably won't find parents that try harder. And yet there was something missing, and we determined that that thing might just be a lack of information, a lack of knowing how, of knowing what to do. And so we set out to get that information, capture it, and make it available to parents so that they could have better relationships with their loved ones.
Oh, wow. So how do people get a hold of that information?
GemTrain on YouTube, GEMTRAIN.
What's behind the name? What's the story there?
Gems of wisdom.
Ah, okay.
Gem like a diamond,
Gotcha.
Train like personal trainer.
Okay, there you go. If you had to pick 2 or 3 of your favorite stories and things that you've done on GemTrain, what would they be?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
We have about 31 videos that are on YouTube.
What I'm really interested in is stress redirection.
I specialize in teaching yoga for students who have special needs.
I help you know what to do if your child with autism is spending too much time on tech.
Children on the spectrum are at higher risk for abuse and trauma.
One of the things about autism that makes it difficult, it is an invisible disability.
There's a lot of things under your own roof that potentially are creating additional toxicity that could be stressing your body and your child's body.
After I got back from Afghanistan, I learned that you've got to do maintenance on your mind, like daily.
I feel like my experience over the last 10 years of being a parent of a child on the spectrum could be helpful to you.
And honestly, Doug, every one of those people is just near and dear to my heart. They all gave their time. They were generous. They did it because they care and they were interested in the cause. So it's so hard. I can tell you that what our audience has said is, in particular, a couple named Damien and Kelly.
And I'm Kelly Rodriguez.
The title of that course is Married with Autism. He's on the spectrum, very open about it.
Proving love is it's a very challenging thing for people on the autism spectrum because we don't really understand.
And hats off to them. They are such a delightful couple. She's fun, he's awesome, and they talk about in their course the challenges that they have faced, and not only the challenges, but what they've done to overcome them. For example, she needs to be told that she's loved. And his feeling to some degree is, well, I told you once. Why do I have to keep telling you?
Yeah, social skills are not exactly on the top of the people on the spectrum.
That's right. So they talk about that. And he's actually set some things in his calendar to remind him to reach out and say, I'm thinking about you, I love you. And she has been an absolute champ because she says, I've had to adapt my perception. It's not a fairy tale. This is me knowing that he loves me because he's willing to do the things that I've said I need. It's really cool.
Well, the other thing I look at is knowledge is power. I mean, a lot of the time, I think it's just a matter of what am I dealing with and how do I cope? Now, you've done a lot of marriage and family counseling. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. You've talked to probably hundreds, if not thousands of people. If you had to pick like the top 3 tips for people out there that are watching right now that are married to help them improve their marriage, what would the 3 tips be?
Well, first and foremost, make sure you understand what somebody actually means. Not what they said, but what they mean. And the best way to do that is by restating what you thought you heard. So many times I've met with couples who have been married for 20 years and had hard feelings and hurt feelings for most of that time. And if you really get down into it, it was based on some sort of a misunderstanding. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is just pay attention to your own problems first. Now, as an individual, as a human being, it's really hard. It's hard for me to do that. It's our nature to want to blame and say it's your fault. You know, you're the reason my life isn't perfect. My wife has been an absolute gem in this regard. She's a sweetheart and much better than me at this. And so I don't feel criticized very often by her, for example. But I notice her just quietly working on what she can do to make our relationship better. And that's been awesome to see.
So she's the gem and you're the trainer.
Yeah.
Gem trainer, huh? Okay. So what would be the third thing?
The third thing is just forgiveness. You know, I'm not a perfect man. I think most of us, if we're honest, can relate to the feeling of making mistakes. And I've sure made my fair share.
Mr. Mark Mozzie, how do you want to leave your mark?
I think I'd like to answer that on a personal level. Because of my history with addiction, I have experienced healing. And the marks that matter to me are the marks that are in the Savior's hands and feet inside. I've experienced grace and mercy. And I don't mean that in some kind of a culturally informed or automatic way. It's a very personal thing. So I'm not so concerned about leaving my mark as I am with marks that have already been left for me.
Well said. Well, thank you very much for coming on to Jessop's Journal. Life is never boring. Sometimes you have something I like to call the wonderful world of regret. If you've ever had a tattoo or permanent makeup that you've fallen out of love with, the folks at Tattoo Away have come up with a pretty cool system that literally removes the ink out of the skin. Autism is getting a lot more attention, as it should. There's a show called The Good Doctor that I absolutely love, and this next person, she can really relate to that character.
Autism is hard to explain. You may know about the lack of eye contact and other social skills, but do you know about the unique ability to look at things differently?
I'm Dr. Sean Murphy. I have autism.
Alexis Cruz deals with autism. ABC's hit series, The Good Doctor, illustrates the challenges, along with the strengths that you may not realize about people with autism.
It just blew me away of how accurate it feels, and like I really do relate to that character.
I have a neurological condition. I will always have it.
With autism, there is no pill that will fix whatever social communication problems you have. There's nothing that will help you focus. And so we have to cope with that, use that to our ability. My superpower is my autism.
The left lung is in distress.
I can see solutions to problems that some people didn't know existed. I see multiple outcomes of certain things.
What is Alexis's hyperfocus?
It's always art stuff. Anything to do with art, ever since I was able to hold the crayon.
That creative superpower has landed her a job as an apprentice with a local jeweler.
I will show people what I can do. Go ahead and underestimate me just because I have autism, but I'm going to show you what I am as a human being, not as a person with autism.
What advice does Alexis's mom, Cindy, have?
Get to know your kid and keep trying, because there are things that you think that they should be doing because that's the normal, but they have a different set of normal, and that's okay.
By now, I hope you know you're supposed to wash your hands. And I really, really hope you're washing your nose. Clear nasal spray washes away the bacteria and helps you breathe better. So come on, join me. You know you want to. Take a deep breath and relax. Thanks for watching this episode of Jessop's Journal. It's my honor to share powerful, positive, and inspirational stories every week right here on TV, as well as jessopsjournal.com. Here's the thing I want people to remember. Everyone has a story. Stories, they have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry into Jessop's Journal, I'm Doug Jessop.